And I have to get rid of the pop-up chat from the previous one and get on the correct one.
Sorry, my dog got sick.
Oh, is he doing okay? Is it just a passing thing, or?
Yeah, I don't know. He has plenty of food and he's just being ridiculous.
Okay.
Uh, I had to deal with that the other day with my ferret. She didn't eat for 2 days, and I ended up going to bed thinking she was going to die because ferrets have to eat regularly.
Okay. Hold on just a minute. I gotta shut my mic off here.
Oh, we're live. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, literally, Maya. Literally. And I am sick from work today because I couldn't sit up in bed.
Ugh. So, are there characters that are often gender bent, or is this a random thing that happens, like that you guys know of? Because I'm trying to think of a character that they've never tried to do that with.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, no
Real
problem.
life intruding on my inner tube.
Yeah, what's going on here?
So, okay. I was having a conversation with a live human being, so I wasn't
Bill.
able to keep track of what you guys were saying here.
Oh, we were waiting for you to come back, and I had just basically asked the question. And
What was the question?
is there any character that hasn't that generally people don't like gender bend, for example? Like,
Uh,
has anybody ever made a male Harley Quinn or a male Wonder Woman?
Again, I would say if you search DeviantArt, I would be very surprised if you don't find one.
Well, fan art, yeah, that's probably a thing. I mean, I've seen people doing a fan art of Superman in Wonder Woman's outfit.
Yep. Oh, Johnny Drive-By's here. So thank you everybody for everyone in the side chat there for coming in. Ansgar was running his own show at the same time that he was supposed to be wrapping up at 2 o'clock to come over here, so I'm not surprised he's running a bit late, but I did get a response on Twitter from him earlier this morning, so I definitely am expecting him to show up anytime. Oh yeah, the legal disclaimer. For nothing on my channel that is intended for children. So if you're under 13, you should not be watching this without a parent's permission. Okay.
If you're under 25, you can't watch.
Yeah, that's probably a good rule of thumb too, for what some of my chats get into.
So was he on his own channel, or was he on time?
In time.
In time.
I think it was an in-time broadcast today. So, but anyway, whoop, wrong button. But yeah, so the problems with gender swapping and race swapping. Now, see, I'm gender fluid, so for me, the gender swap is generally not a big deal. The race swapping, I can see in some cases why people get upset with it, but for the most part, I think people make too big a deal about it. And well, when I was with my fiance, we were an interracial couple. So, oh, here's Ansgar.
Oh,
Hello.
Hello, hello. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. Yeah, I was kind of expecting you to be late, and I knew you'd get here eventually.
So it looks like it wasn't too late, though.
No, you're fine.
Nope, actually, we're just starting.
Hey, what's up, Mikey? Didn't
What's
know you
up,
were going to
man?
be here. Good to see you, man.
I show up in the strangest places.
You do. You're just like, and suddenly a wild Mikey appears.
Well,
Roll for initiative.
actually, since we're here now, if everybody wants to, go around and kind of give a brief introduction to yourselves. Ansgar, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. I've got the A name. Why not? So, Ansgar, and let's see, I'm an artist and a writer, and I do this, little show called In Time. I just came from there. And I talk to Mikey now and again about politics and stuff. And I do art on Twitter, and I'm making a comic book. So, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read the comic yet, but I've seen the artwork from some of the panels, and it's some very impressive art.
Thank you.
And it looks like some really interesting characters you've developed there.
Thank you very much. Well, yeah, the comic book isn't done yet. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be, for my patrons, releasing it on a website, for basically like a web comic. And then when I get an entire graphic novel done worth of comics, I will do probably like a GoFundMe or something like that, and go to print that way. Kickstarter, whatever.
Shut up and take my money.
Oh no! You
Shut
really,
your mouth and open your hands.
I've seen a lot of games that started as Kickstarter projects that have made it pretty big.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I say Kickstarter is because there's protections for the donators there. You don't end up with a Madame situation where she did a Kickstarter thing where she was going to sue Onision, but she did it through PayPal. And then she reneged, and she's not suing him, or she's not updating. And because the donations were done through PayPal, the people who donated have no recourse. Whereas if she had done something through Kickstarter, they could have gone to Kickstarter and said, "Hey, look, she said she was doing X. She's doing Y. I want my money back."
I'll research. Go ahead.
I've also seen on Kickstarter some of the stupidest, most transparent ideas in the world that got billions of dollars in backing.
Thunderfoot does some great videos on those.
Yeah.
I want to make a potato salad. Give me money. Get $100,000.
I gotta go, guys. I gotta go start up my Kickstarter.
If you want $1,000 to create potato salad, I expect you to send it to the UK fresh so I can eat it.
Well, the funny thing was he didn't ask for $1,000. All he asked for was I think it was $15 for the ingredients, just as a joke. Like, this is how much it's going to cost me to make potato salad. I want to make potato salad. And so many people found it so absurd and funny that he ended up getting thousands of dollars in donations.
Yeah.
Okay, I never heard the story of where that started from.
Yeah, it was totally a joke, and people donated, and so he got $1,000 for potato salad. And there's people on there who need surgery who've only gotten 12.
Yeah.
True.
It's a sharp
Okay,
edge.
Mikey, you want to plug what you're doing lately?
I'm Mikey Famine. I yell on the internet. I play video games. And I'm half of the Pro Lib show with Progressive Liberal. You can catch me on Mixer probably tonight. www.mixer.com/Mikey Famine.
Okay. Orla, you want to tell people who you are?
No, I'm good. Pretty much everyone knows who I am at the moment.
And everybody knows to keep a safe distance away. Fortunately, she seems to like stabbing mostly and not too much use of ranged weapons.
She's a melee specialist.
Well, yeah, it's so much easier, and my hand-eye coordination is shit.
So you like pointy things.
Okay, Pirate Kitty.
No,
Um,
no, stabby things, not pointy things, stabby things.
It's the same thing, isn't it? I mean, it's pointy, so you can stab with it.
Not all pointy things are very good for stabbing.
Okay, fair enough.
Like a laser pointer.
What?
It's good at pointy, not at stabbing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Pirate Kitty, you want a brief introduction to yourself?
I'm Pirate Kitty. I Twitter
Excuse me.
sometimes. I don't have a channel really. I've got one video. I just do chats with Purple.
Yeah, Pirate Kitty hangs out in most of my chats and always has some interesting input.
Yes.
Okay, so on to the main topic of, when someone is retelling a story and they change the race or gender of a character.
Well, I think there's a lot of nuance in that. I actually did a video kind of on some of this before. For one, it depends on why it's done. It depends on what the character. It depends on a lot of different factors. But one of the things that I hate seeing, and it's for a very interesting reason, I think, anyways, is the same stories told over and over and over. And now we're going to, quote unquote, put in a diverse cast, right? Because we need to increase representation. The reason that this irritates me is not because I don't want better representation for minorities in film. The reason I dislike it is because, for me, it's a lazy way to pretend to have increased diversity or representation, when in fact all you're doing is slapping dark skin on an inherently, white character, a white story, white experiences, white folklore. It frustrates me that there is an entire world of untapped folklore and stories and mythology from all over the world. There's Mami Wata in from African folklore. There's if you really needed a mermaid tale. There's just stuff from all over the world that never really gets any play in the media. And I would dearly love, instead of the 25th this year King Arthur movie, I'm kidding obviously, but instead of another freaking retelling of King Arthur or the same old stories, I would really love to see them dip into these folklores and mythologies from around the world and expose us to some cultures that maybe we don't normally get exposed to.
So like I get the whole, like, the live action Lion King thing. I was like, all right, guys.
That's not live action.
You know what I'm saying? The super CGI Lion King thing. It's like, all right. Lion King 1 is still pretty good.
Lion King 1 is better. Sorry, I'll stop.
Yeah, it can be better, it can be worse. That's not the point I'm making.
I know, I'm sorry.
It's
I'll shut
just
up now.
I think they do go to the same trough too many times. And there is not a lot of new stories coming out. But at the same time, I get that they want to, hey, you know what? Let me ring the chamois one more time on this whole Lion King thing. I mean, the movie did make money. And I think that's kind of their mission, not so much to tell great and new awesome tales. They're just kind of in it for like, yo, what's popular?
Well, yeah. Well, that's why I see that kind of when we're talking about the race and gender changing. That's why I see that as so cynical, right? Because they're not really looking to tell interesting, great stories. It's very obvious they're just wanting to, okay, well, we know this story makes money, and we know that retelling it will make money, and we know that if we do a swap, we're going to look very progressive and people are going to like that. It's cynical and I hate it.
Yeah, and what
Yeah,
bothers me about that is that they're erasing existing characters. Like, there's talk of a Batman that's going to be black. Well, why not use Batwing
Hmm.
for that?
Yeah.
And it's
Because
like
who knows about that character? That's
yeah,
they
but Iron Man also was a really unpopular character. But as soon as he went on the big screen, he became popular. So it's not like the cinematics don't have
Or what
the
about
capacity to do that.
Static Shock, who is beloved,
He's coming.
absolutely beloved.
He's
Hmm.
coming.
Or what's his name? The Spider-Man character. Hang on. I'll check that.
Miles?
I did make an accurate. Yeah, Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
So these characters do exist. They're erasing them in the name of profit and, well, I suppose
What do you mean?
fake progressiveness.
What do you mean erasing though? Because I mean, I don't think they went and destroyed
Well,
all
they're
the
not
other
being
comics,
erased from the
right?
comics, but
Right.
it's a case of
Well, it
let's
actually,
grab hold of the mainstream names, but let's not introduce the new characters
interestingly enough, sometimes that does
into the
happen.
cinematics.
Marvel, for instance, has recently, just as an example, I can think of at least 3 characters that, in fact, way more. Once, at one time, the Marvel Cinematic Universe did it, or Marvel movies in general, did their best to try and emulate the comic books, right? But now that the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, has gone so mainstream, the comic books are now being changed to match the movies. So, as an example, Valkyrie is no longer Valkyrie from the comics that I remember. She's been changed to be the movie version, which I'm sorry, I just hated. She was nothing
Yeah.
like the character that I wanted to see. Now I think this one is for the better, but it still makes my point. What's his name? The leader of Shield has been changed in all the comics. He looks like Samuel L. Jackson now.
Oh,
know?
Nick Fury.
Yeah, Nick
Yeah,
Fury.
Nick Fury has been changed in the comics. So many characters have been changed to be more like the MCU or exactly like the MCU. And so in some cases, characters really do get, or at least the comic book incarnation of them do get erased because of what they do in the movies.
Yeah, I actually haven't looked at any of the recent comics, and I kind of gave up on the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, largely because, I was used to the comics from the 70s through the 90s.
Don't
And
worry,
it's
all
like
my
the
comic book
characters are so
knowledge.
completely changed. It's just not even the same people.
I'm with you there. I gave up on the universe for that exact same reason. And I've given up on the comics now because of that reason.
Yeah,
And
I
occasionally
sound
they'll
like I
release.
know what the comic books like,
Sorry,
but
Roland, what?
I sound like I know what the comic books are like, but I'm largely getting all my knowledge from either Wikipedia files or YouTube videos because I haven't actually read the comics.
It's a lot. It's a lot to get into late in the game, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and that's part of the problem. And somebody was complaining about this in a chat the other night about the Marvel Universe, that all the movies are like so interconnected that you can't watch any of them if you haven't seen all of the previous ones. And it's not just like seeing all the Avengers movies, it's like you have to have seen the Spider-Man movies for parts of the Avengers movies to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
That's why I basically stopped watching them. I mean, the last one that I saw was Captain Marvel, and that was because it was fairly standalone. Like, you didn't have to watch 3 other movies to get it. I haven't seen any of the like Endgame, Infinity Wars. Haven't watched them because I don't have a desire to be kind of clueless about things, and then not having watched the other ones. I'm not going to go through a 67 movie marathon to watch one movie.
Yeah, I quit
Even
at
in
the
the
first
series add
Avengers movie
context now.
because I already saw that happening. that there were too many side branches that I wasn't understanding at that point.
I feel
I
like
Go
if you
ahead.
have I feel like if you have a general knowledge of the characters of Marvel characters, you'll be fine watching those movies. Like you won't catch all of the subtle nuances, but you'll know who so and so is and who's, you know what I mean. You won't be totally amiss. Like, oh, what is this character with the claws? Oh, no, you know who Black Panther. You know who people are.
I quit at Thor simply because I hated that all the magic and mysticism was sucked out of the Thor universe. I loathe that, oh, we're just basically Stargate, but with hunky blonde dudes with hammers. It's like, no, I raged.
You
I'm
have
ashamed to admit
no
I threw
idea
cans
how
in.
many heathens that upset as well.
What's so I forgot how this all breaks down. I was talking to Pirate Kitty a second ago. Thor is his title, right? That's not his name, or it is his name.
No, he is Thor Odinson. He was named Thor by his father Odin. Thor Odinson. It is not a title. That is an excuse, a justification they came up with to create the female Thor, which was dumb. It was really, really dumb, especially since Thor has a daughter, Torun, and she is an amazing character. They could have easily had Thor retired because Odin got killed eventually. Thor should have retired and become basically the new Allfather, replaced Odin, and it would have been so great to watch this daughter, Torun, this young, impetuous, badass girl, put Thor through all of the trials and tribulations as a father that he put Odin through as his son. It would be great to watch Thor sit on the throne with this weathered brow as this young, impetuous girl repeats all of his mistakes, and then some of her own, because she was her own character. But there was no need to completely replace. See, that's what I find so egregious about it. Why do you need to erase Thor as a character? You don't need to do that. There was already great, powerful, amazing characters, and you could have retired him. You could have made him a background character, and Torun could have stepped into his place.
Hey man, he'll never be erased. He'll always live in your heart, okay, Ansgar? Always be in your heart.
Okay,
But I mean,
Ansgar, I agree with what you're saying would be a much better way to handle it. But within the mythology of the comic, I didn't have a problem with a female Thor because the inscription on the hammer did say, whoever is worthy of
Possess
holding
the power of Thor, not be transformed. Because in the mythology of the comic, Thor was sent as a mortal in the form of Blake, whatever his name was. And when he picked up the hammer, it revealed his true self. He always was Thor. So no, even if a woman became worthy of the hammer and it chose her, she would not be Thor. She would merely have his powers. It specifically says that in the mythology. So no, it does break canon. Now that's why, again, if he had handed the hammer down to Torun, right, then she would possess all of his powers. Now, another interesting thing is the character that they chose to give that power to and become Thor in the mythology actually tried to become an Asgardian already. She fell in love with Thor, tried to become an Asgardian, and failed the test of worthiness. She was proven unworthy. Jane Foster is unworthy.
Hey, you just dust yourself off and you try again. And now look at you. You're a Thor.
I love you, Jamie. I always said Mikey. I don't know why I said Jamie.
That's my name now, Jamie Odinson.
Yes. You're my dark brother. I dig it.
Jamie Foxx Odinson.
I agree with you that she shouldn't have actually been Thor. It should have been a new character. Yes. And before you came in, we were talking about, the precedent set by Beta Ray Bill.
Yes.
That, there was another character who was able to catch Thor's hammer and throw it back at him.
Then Odin had forged for him a second Mjolnir.
Yeah. Yeah, so they made a new hammer, so there were basically two Thors running around.
I mean, but the thing is like, and maybe I'm coming at this from the opposite angle, but if these companies are going to invest thousands and millions of dollars in making a movie,
Tens of dollars.
huh? Whatever.
Tens of
Tens
dollars.
of dollars. $50. Here's your budget. Make a movie.
You know, if they're going to
Some
be
of them you would
spending
think.
that shit ton of money, I really can't blame them for trying to take a safer route, especially if there are comics and there are.
Yeah.
I mean, because despite the fact that buzz in my ear,
Well,
Um,
Well,
unfortunately,
here's the problem. Here's
I
my
said
point of
despite-
contention.
despite there being this whole comic book history and everything, comic books are still not as mainstream as just the movies. Most people who know of Iron Man and Thor and Batman and Robin and all that, they know it because of the movies and TV and not the comic books. So introducing a comic book character as the main character of a new series, I think, is going to be less likely to draw the audience that they need to recoup their losses from making said movie.
I will push back on that a bit. And the thing is for the longest time, when we're talking about movies, TV, comic books, any industry that is art, these industries were started by artists. And the thing is these movies do make money. The problem is that these industries have been completely absorbed and taken over by business. It is now the money men who used to work for the artists to try and sell their product, the art that they loved. The artists are now nothing more than a resource working for businessmen. Right.
Mhm.
And so that is the problem. All these industries have been flipped on their head. And so now art is no longer created just to create good art and let's hope we can sell it. Now art is nothing more than a calculated product and artists are told what they are going to create. The problem isn't that these movies won't make money. The problem is that the businessmen are beholden not to the audience, but to investors, and they need to make all of the money. And if they didn't make all of the money, they don't see it as a success, and that is the problem.
I
Yeah.
don't see that. I don't
Unfortunately,
see any conflict in what I said and what you said.
well,
You're completely right. I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm just saying it's foolish to expect people who are out to make money to take that kind of a risk unless that was their original goal.
Unless
Well,
we
I think the
set audience
problem is
expectation.
that
Oh.
Mhm.
the investors
Sorry.
the investors are not willing to accept a fairly modest return on their investment.
Exactly.
They don't want to, invest in something thinking that they're going to get 110% back.
Mhm.
Yeah,
If
but
they're not going to get 3 or 4 times the money they put into it, they don't want to do it.
Right. Not
when you are trying to please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody, and that's the
Yep.
mistake they're making.
Well, and
Agreed.
I really think the calculation for movies these days is that they have to promote them enough ahead of time to make back all of their money in the opening weekend before anybody can see a review of whether or not the movie was good or bad.
Before it gets pirated.
That's true.
Mhm.
Now I want to be a little bit positive here because I've been really negative. There is a place where I think that race and gender swaps work really well, and that specifically happens with what I would call iterative characters, like James Bond. Right? James Bond is not a singular character, but he's iterative. He comes in different, iterations,
Mhm.
and I think that, for just as an example, Idris Elba would make a fucking fantastic James Bond.
They are off their rocker not picking him.
Seriously.
God, they're off their rocker.
Yeah.
You
But I mean,
kill
isn't
that role.
not just like iterations, but like doesn't both DC and Marvel have multiverse concepts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's nothing stopping them from saying that in some universe, Batman is black. There's nothing. My thing when it comes to race, what race swaps specifically is there's take Peter Parker for example. There is nothing intrinsic about Peter Parker that says that he has to be white. There's nothing about his
Yeah.
character that is specifically
Well,
white.
okay,
so if you
but
make
here's the
Peter Parker black, it doesn't change Uncle Ben's
but
death.
here's the thing. The reason I don't like it is because it's cynical. right? You're saying, oh, look, we've made it more diverse. But the problem is that is still essentially a white character with white experiences growing up as a white man in New York. And all you've done is paint black skin on him. You haven't represented a damn thing. All you've done is a cynical marketing ploy. That's
you
what
haven't
frustrates
changed the
me.
culture he grew up in, and
But
That's why I love
something.
Miles Morales.
Robert
Right.
X and Tony Design in the side chat are discussing, what I think is really the best way for them to handle a race or a gender swap is as a legacy character. That the character gets too old or gets injured and can't carry on anymore, and they
Passes on
hand
the
the mantle
mantle.
down to someone else.
Agreed.
And that leaves it open for someone of any race or gender who's just shown that they have whatever the essential traits are necessary to be this hero.
a cape.
Agreed.
They have a cape, so now they're Batman.
Yeah, well, that's Batman was what they're talking about, and that's certainly Bruce Wayne could give all the gadgets to anyone who shows that they have the commitment to do what he did.
Especially if you did like a whole comic series where you had, it doesn't matter. Let's say it's a black lesbian. I don't care, right? Show up and become his new Robin, right? Because Robin has been a thing that he's had several Robins, right? And then after the end of that comic series, you could have him like old and broken and pass the mantle to her. And it could be anything. It could be whatever. I once drafted a story. I never finished it. Where
Iron Man.
Go ahead.
That's what they did for Iron Man and Ironheart.
Yeah. Well, I once drafted a story kind of like that before Ironheart came out, where Tony Stark actually took under his wing a student who was disabled, crippled, right? A paraplegic. And originally this paraplegic, who was this brilliant inventor, designed a exosuit to allow to basically make up for the lack of working legs. And Tony kind of took notice, and eventually, so basically this hero was only Iron Man and that badass when in the Iron Man suit, and then out of the suit was actually crippled. So yeah, I mean, you could really have fun and do some interesting things with some of these characters and do the legacy passing down the mantle. And yes, I do like Ironheart, by the way.
And he also had a school for talented youngsters.
Yes,
or gifted youngsters. That's what it was.
Yes,
Professor Xavier.
Why not?
Exosuit.
Professor Xavier in an exosuit. That would be fucking scary. Just saying.
Fucking Skynet.
No, that actually would not work very well, because Professor Xavier in an Iron Man suit up against Magneto, it would be one of those, why are you punching yourself? Why are you punching yourself?
Well,
So
it's made out of it's made out of advanced polymers. Exactly. Duh.
No, it's made out of quarters. It's not magnetic.
So he's not Iron Man at that point. He's PVC Man.
Yes.
if Tony Stark is still flying around in an iron suit, let me tell you something.
That's true. I think it's mostly like titanium and stuff like that. But yeah,
get some vibranium up in that bad boy. Is vibranium metallic? Do we know?
We don't. I don't believe it's actually.
Well,
yeah.
Sorry.
I suppose there is that Magneto could only deal with things that are ferrous metals.
Right.
Yeah.
So, apparently Killmonger says the weapons that they are sending to use in the Dog Wars are undetectable by metal detectors, so I imagine not.
You dropped out there a bit, Kitty.
Wait,
can you repeat that?
Sorry, it's a question posted on our Marvel Studios asking if vibranium is magnetic, and the response is basically saying that probably not, because according to Killmonger, it's undetectable by metal detectors.
Yeah. So
okay.
And wasn't Claw's hand have some vibranium in there?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch that again today.
Okay, has Captain America's shield ever been attracted by a magnetic source or by Magneto himself?
I have not that I've seen. Now Magneto, though, thing is though his magnet is his power over magnetism is actually so strong. Actually, hold on. His power is so strong that he's been able to move and manipulate things that are non-magnetic because he can create electromagnetic fields that are powerful enough to move solid objects. So even something completely non-magnetic, he can move through his magnetic manipulation.
That's cheating.
Yeah. However, he has obviously a much stronger control over things that are actually magnetic. And that calls into question, then I guess adamantium must be magnetic because he pulled all of Wolverine's adamantium out of his body and gave it to Sabretooth.
As a gift.
As a gift, yes.
This is what you do for your friends. You know, the seasons are right. And
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
as a direct answer to Orla's question, I do recall in an episode of the comic book somebody catching Captain America's shield with a giant magnet.
So there you go. Well, remember, the shield is an alloy, though, of adamantium and vibranium. So there is a potential that it was the adamantium in it that was magnetic.
Yeah, so
Digital Davros is saying in the side chat that adamantium is magnetic.
Yeah, and so I did a Google search, and there's references to Magneto's power having come up against Captain America's shield in the past, and he has been able to affect the shield via magnetic powers.
There you go.
Yes, and we have got the good one in the side chat.
Cap is mad strong, so he's not letting that go. You're just gonna have to pull him.
It's true.
You're pulling his whole damn body. You ain't letting that go. So the Little Mermaid thing. So one of the things that I've never understood about this is the Little Mermaid, the Disney version of Little Mermaid, isn't even like the right Little Mermaid story. It's like a
right.
Very, very safe version of it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the actual with her like wasn't she like some sort of like almost like a sea monster? She was just kind of
No. The really horrible thing is she turned into sea foam. She dies and turns into sea foam.
If memory serves, she was a sea sprite or sea spirit of some kind.
Yeah.
She wasn't necessarily a mermaid under classical definitions.
Well, she was a mermaid, but she was like she was like an ocean, kind of, yeah. But the thing is what she wanted was she wanted to become an air spirit. She wanted the freedom and stuff like that, but she basically made all these mistakes, and she eventually just turned into sea foam.
No,
yeah, but as far as the character goes, I think that that was the most absurd instance of people getting outraged, because we're talking about a mythological race.
Yeah.
That has often been depicted as having green skin. So, having an actress of a different skin color playing her really is irrelevant.
If you're talking about the Disney version, the most important aspect of Ariel was her singing voice. The actress that they have chosen to play her has a marvelous singing voice. I don't have a problem with this.
It was the
that can be easily changed.
Well,
no, she does have red hair too.
And in the original story, right, it was a case of mermaids lived 300 years and had no soul, right? By marrying a human or falling in love with a human and having that love returned, she would gain a soul. But at the end of the story, even though she turned to foam, she still actually gained a soul and went to wherever she went.
Soul foam. Pick it up on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I mean, I just when it comes to changing the races and genders or whatever of Disney characters, I just can't give a shit because they're just Disney characters. To be quite honest, I don't care.
Look what they did to the Snow Queen.
I already
they
considered
came up with Frozen.
Exactly. I already consider everything Disney does a gross bastardization anyways. So if they want to further bastardize it, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I just
and Disney has been ripping off legends from all over the world, from all different cultures.
Macbeth.
So it's like
Yeah.
most of these characters should not look like Northern Europeans to begin with.
Now, would I rather them do a story about Well, wouldn't want Disney to do it. Never mind. Would I rather Hollywood or someone who actually gives a shit about the mythology do a story about Mami Wata from Africa than see another Little Mermaid? Not that I'm ever going to go see the first Little Mermaid. That yes, I would love to see that, but this is Disney we're talking about, so let them stick to their wheelhouse.
Disney is too big, cares too much about money, and uses CGI far too much. At this point, they even own half the horror content that there's available. So,
Yeah,
fuck
Disney's the
it.
Borg. They're just absorbing all media will be absorbed.
Resistance is
Yeah, I was
It's
rather
like the
surprised
Judge
to
for
find
by and
out that
large.
I was rather surprised to find out that Disney has also absorbed National Geographic.
Yep.
Yep.
And that, to me, that seems like such a terrible misfit that that's an organization with completely different goals from anything Disney has ever done.
Well, Disney used to do some decent nature things in the past.
In the past.
I remember. Well,
Well,
they
yeah, but
stopped.
not in the last 50 years.
Well, right, but if they were to bring National Geographic in and they were to let them continue to be National Geographic and do the thing their
Let
way,
me just
it
let me
might
just
work.
tell you what's on National Geographic right now. Reality vet shows and a show about what's his name? Gordon going around to different parts of the world doing scripted stunts and then cooking local cuisine.
It's a great show. I loved it. I love the first episode.
I do. I enjoy it, but it shouldn't be on National Geographic.
Oh, you say National Geographic, and I'm thinking like the magazine and not the TV channel. I even forgot that was a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, their content, the National Geographic channel, isn't horribly successful anyway. And
No,
being under that Disney banner kind of just gives them more money so that they can have Gordon pick worms out of this cactus off the edge of a cliff. Like that's fine. I think.
And I just like watching Gordon curse at people. It's just entertaining.
It's fun for me.
Yes,
that's a good show. But I think we all kind of have what we would do if we ran Disney, but we don't.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic for another week. Is all the TV networks that are no longer anything like what their original mission statement was.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've been Borged.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the reason why I can't really find myself being upset because they've changed the gender or the race of a character in a movie, is because they're just out for money. They're not out for this. They're not out for the
and that's exactly
art.
What.
And I'm just like, I can't see the point, because I'm not going to be able to change it. There's nothing at this point that anyone can do to change their course.
No, all we can do is support more independent media and independent creators who are creating more interesting and artistic things. That's all we can do.
Very true.
Well,
that's very true.
Why I never understand any of the outrage. It's like, even if it was like the Ghostbusters reboot, I'm like, you motherfuckers weren't going to go see a new Ghostbusters movie regardless. Yes, you would, even if it was all guys again and it just sucked, you'd still be mad about it. So it's with girls and it sucks and you're mad. Now you're double mad about it. It's like, you knew it was good. Dude, most
of the people that were upset about that movie just were upset that they're finally making another Ghostbusters movie, because many of us were really looking forward to it, and it looked like shit. It didn't look funny. It didn't look interesting. The CG looked awful. Every single preview just looked awful. It had nothing to do with whether or not they're women. They could have an entire female cast. The other thing is it was a reboot. We didn't want a fucking reboot. We wanted a continuation of the story.
Yeah.
There's so many people sick of fucking reboots. Just stop it.
That is what I heard about the Ghostbusters, that it really didn't have that much to do with that they were women. It was just people were sick of reboots.
Hmm. I mean, I'm sure there were a few people that were women suck, but that
Yeah.
wasn't the majority of people. That wasn't why the movie financially failed. And now they're doing a continuation. They're actually doing a sequel, which looks actually kind of interesting and pleasant.
Because
We'll see.
they finally managed to get the all of the original
Yeah.
cast to agree, and that's why they did a reboot instead of a continuation, as far as I understand it.
That was
they
a threat.
Huh.
couldn't,
Like, we're
they
gonna make
couldn't-
5 more of these if you guys don't get your shit together.
Like,
Yeah,
oh, shit,
right.
we can't let that
Sorry.
happen.
Okay.
I
We'll
have
work.
to be annoying a minute and go, "Hi, honey."
Yeah, it's like, that thing you're the most famous for?
We're
If
gonna
you don't agree to do more of them, we're going to completely destroy everyone's memory of it.
that is a topic that pisses me off to no end. Is these actors and actresses getting famous for a role
Mhm.
and then dipping out and say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm too good for that. It's like, that made you. If you're like, I heard at one point that like Emma Watson wanted to dip out of the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, she did.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
you need to finish the series.
Okay,
This made
slightly
you.
off topic, but yeah, digital. Demonic Davros is asking about. There was a RoboCop reboot that was horrible. Can
Yeah.
anyone think of a reboot that was good?
I'll
Hmm.
have to marinate on it.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I'm sure there must have been one or
Ghostbusters.
two that worked. but
Hold
off
on,
the top
hold
of
on.
my
John
head,
Carpenter's The Thing.
I can agree with
okay, I
that.
didn't see that one.
I
The-
mean, Ghostbusters was really good.
I've seen the trailer for the Mulan reboot, for the Mulan remake. It actually looks interesting.
Well, Ansgar, you did say you saw the newest Godzilla movie and you thought that was good.
Oh.
That's not a reboot though. That's
Yeah.
actually in the tradition. See, every single basically the way Godzilla works is it goes in series, and each series of Godzilla movies basically ignores the past series except for the original Gojira movie, and that movie is the only one that is canonized for each series. So when you go see the new Godzilla movies, the only movie from the previous stuff that is canon is the original Godzilla movie. So yeah.
Okay, Neil is mentioning in the side chat Judge Dredd.
I liked it pretty much the same, for different reasons. They got the gritty cyberpunk better, but I don't know. No, I guess it was pretty much.
I think it was better. I actually remember seeing both of those, and I did like the reboot better.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'll agree
Okay,
with that.
I should probably make that a topic for a future week, and we should probably get back to where we were on the gender and race swap.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a show on reboots.
But yeah, I think that there's times that the gender and race swaps can be rather interesting. I've even seen some characters in stories that have had things happen where the character literally gets like gender swapped in the story, and they have to deal with the fallout of that. You know what I mean? Deal with the and that can be very interesting.
I was about to mention that some stories where basically through some form of magic their gender is transformed and they have to learn how to live as the other gender.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually reminding me of a webcomic I haven't read in forever that I need to find the name of, but it was basically about the classic barbarian, think He-Man looking dude who gets changed into a woman. And the vast majority of the story is him trying to adjust to being female and still being him, but being a girl now.
So Red Sonja. I'm kidding.
And it was actually a pretty good comic, and I'm gonna have to look it up now to see if I can find the name.
There was an Australian cartoon called Shizao, which it was really campy, really silly cartoon. But the premise of it was that um, Shizao apparently had been this established hero in the universe they kind of covered. And
that was
as
easy.
these two kids are going through their dead aunt's house, they find out that their aunt had been the superhero, and her nephew puts on the magic ring and is transformed into this female superhero.
Ah.
So basically, yeah, he's running around. He has to act as a woman whenever he's the superhero.
Mad Max popped up on this list.
That wasn't a reboot either, though. I don't think it was.
Yeah.
That was a continuation.
Okay. Oh, Ninja Turtles.
Ugh.
I love
Were any of those
the new
considered
one.
reboots? Oh,
I hated. Sorry, I did not like Down's Hulk Turtles.
Oh, I loved it.
Oh, it was
funny.
terrible. Terrible. Why are the Ninja Turtles, why are the Ninja Turtles, 8-foot hulking monsters?
Because it's awesome. And
No, it isn't. It's fucking dumb.
They were making that.
I agree with Asgard. The last few reboots of the Ninja Turtles, even in the cartoons, have been awful.
Okay, Doctor Who was mentioned. And
Again,
yeah,
not a
when I
reboot.
heard they were going to make an Americanized version of Doctor Who,
no.
I was feeling, this was going to be such cringe. I did not watch the first several seasons. But
There's
then
an
I got
American
into it.
version?
Yeah, they handled it quite well.
There's an American version of Doctor Who?
Well, it's a joint American BBC version.
It's called.
I didn't realize it existed.
Well, it's the one that's running now. It's
Well, that's a
All-American
reboot. That's still
Doctor Who.
continuing.
Yeah, it's not fully Americanized, but just the way it was promoted beforehand, I expected it to be pretty
Oh
bad.
my lord! Look at this.
So they
Look at
handled
this.
it much better than I thought they would have.
Okay.
This is the cover for it. I'm sharing the screen. I'm sharing the screen.
Yeah, hold on, I gotta scroll around here.
Oh, well, I have not seen this.
Yeah, well that one wasn't so much.
Is that the kid from the
Oh, that looks terrible.
Yeah, no, that one I haven't seen either.
Michael Cera?
But
No,
yeah,
let me-
just when they did do the reboot of Doctor Who of bringing it back, they did a pretty good job of it. That
Again, I
was
wouldn't
not
call
the
it a
version I was
reboot
thinking
because
of.
all of the previous Doctors are considered canon.
Yeah.
It's somebody named
it's-
Brett Murray.
Still continuation.
Well, and in Doctor Who, they were able to do it, because they had
Yeah.
long ago established a mechanism in the series for changing the main character.
Mm-hmm.
That he would come out with a different look and a different personality, and that was just part of the species that he was.
Right.
So what did you guys? So never mind. Are we still talking about reboots?
No, I was trying to get away from the reboots and get back to the gender and race swap, but
No.
we'll do reboots another week.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the Doctor Who one, what again kind of made me kind of go, is there already are there is one female Time Lord actually in the canon already.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I thought it would be interesting if they had given her like a spin-off series or something like that, because previously in the canon, it was pretty canonical that there were specifically male and female Time Lords. Now, if they wanted to make a species that changes, sex rather constantly, I think it'd be interesting to create a species in that universe that was like that, because I think that there would be some really interesting things to write for that. Like you would really see some it would be interesting to see like masculine and feminine, memories and experiences and traits all coming together into this one character, which would be, I think, rather it would take a really a superb actor, I think, or actress to pull it off.
Yeah.
But that could be really interesting. I just didn't think it worked so well for Doctor Who. But
Well, I think what they should have tried with Doctor Who was going in the other direction.
Mhm.
And since he can regenerate, why did he always have to regenerate into a human? Why couldn't he have regenerated into one of any of the other alien species he had encountered over the years?
That'd be interesting.
Well, I mean,
Regenerates
isn't
into a
the-
Dalek.
Well, I mean, isn't the point, or that he's trying to save humanity from becoming the Daleks? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm only vaguely aware of the series. I've watched some
Well,
episodes,
yeah,
but I'm
okay,
not like a huge hardcore fan.
the whole thing of the Daleks had started out as basically being a humanoid race, that became more and more mechanized over the time. So,
No, I thought Daleks were.
I'll be right back. By the way, I
humans.
got to go to the door and get my food.
Mhm.
yeah,
I-
well, Daleks started out as a humanoid race, and they've evolved to the point that now they're basically a human brain in this mechanical shell.
Like
No,
Krang
I mean-
from Ninja Turtles.
But no, I mean, like they're the eventual evolution of humans on Earth.
By
That's what
by
I was
the
under the impression of.
by the original story, I don't remember it being connected to Earth. It was just basically it was basically like a parallel Earth. It was a very Earth-like planet that had almost identical species to humans, but I don't think it was actually Earth. In the newer series, they seem to show that the Cybermen are actually descendants of Earth.
Mm.
And they've
get into
played it
one.
an interesting way, and basically the implication is that wearing the Bluetooth device was the first step, and people got so addicted to having the technology with them all the time that then they started like implanting the Bluetooth devices and implanting your cell
Oh.
phone and implanting personal computers into people, and this eventually evolves into the Cybermen.
I'm with that, by the way. So if anybody knows of any any number I can call to get like a computer chip, yeah, I'm about it. I need a new graphics card.
Yeah, but then you got to go in for surgery every 9 months to get the newest version.
Yeah, they will get very annoying to update my NVIDIA graphics card that I have in the back of my neck.
Yep.
Yeah, so see, the Cybermen, according to this, are from a parallel Earth. So I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah, I only saw parts of it. I didn't see the whole story play out, so I've got gaps I have to fill in myself.
I've only when it comes to Doctor Who, I've only seen specific episodes like the one where they were in, and this was during Tennant's one of Tennant's episodes, I think, where they were on a planet where there had been some kind of apocalyptic event, and in order to save the people that were on the planet, they locked them into the subterranean highway system.
As you do.
And then, of course, I've seen the Weeping Angels episode. And then I saw one when the Doctor was the bald guy with that wore a lot of leather, the one that became a James Bond.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah, I saw a couple episodes of Craig, but I can't specifically remember which ones. So, since I started playing video games so much, I really can't motivate myself to sit down and watch a program.
Yeah, I
know,
kind of have the same thing that since I've gotten involved in YouTube. Well, not that I watched much TV before anyway, but especially since I've gotten involved in YouTube, I don't really watch anything on TV anymore.
Right. Well, but I mean, my thing is that like I could watch TV and be told a story, or I could play a video game and be in the story.
Yep.
And
Okay.
kind of affect it in a way.
I've got to set down my mic for a couple of minutes here, so you people carry on.
For sure.
To be fair, that's what video games and reading have in common. It totally absorbs you into the world, where TV is quite boring.
Mm-hmm. And so my boyfriend gets mad at me because I don't really have the desire to go see movies much anymore. It's like, unless it's a specific movie, like maybe if they came out with another Pirates movie, because that's a thing for us. Like our first 3 dates were when Pirates movies came out. And I would take Greyhound to come to Atlanta to see the movies with him. So, but I mean, by and large, it's like, oh, hey, this movie looks cool, but I really don't want to go to a theater to watch it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, most of the media I consume these days is off of YouTube, or I'm listening to podcasts or something like that, because I can be doing something else.
I mean, I'm playing a video game right now.
Exactly. TV has pretty much lost its appeal, and mediums like YouTube are quickly losing their appeal too, because they're losing everything that makes them special in a bid to try and chase money.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly.
Listen, guys, there's no reason all of us shouldn't go to YouTube and just sign up for YouTube TV, pay them $60 a month for something we're not going to watch.
Hey, I would actually be happy to pay YouTube a subscription if they delivered content that I would watch, like the more explicit channels.
Oh.
You know, and the atheist content or the LGBTQ content. I would pay to watch that. I really would. But if they're gonna pump out the same generic crap that you get on the TV, I'm not gonna watch it.
They want some of that TV money because there's a lot of it going around.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like, there's a lot of content creators right now that are in a 3-day blackout. Like, for example, Surus is not uploading from what is today? What day of the week is today?
Until Saturday.
Yes, it was started yesterday, and until like Saturday, they're not uploading anything.
Right, and that's fine. I totally understand that. But at the same time, I'm probably going to follow them to all the other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I've already downloaded 6 different platforms. I'm waiting for another one to be available in the UK so I can download that as well, the Slasher app.
Mm-hmm.
Because I intend to make content for that app as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, YouTube needs to step up or fuck off.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, part of the problem too, like, is that now every one of these, like, the whole thing with streaming was you could do everything on your computer and it was cheaper. But now you've got all these companies that were like, well, if you want my content, you have to pay for my specific streaming service. If you know, Disney Plus, Hulu, Vudu, Netflix.
You do? I'm sorry. You remind me of the Babe.
Yeah.
What Babe?
Babe with the power.
What power?
Power of voodoo.
Voodoo?
You do.
Do
You
what?
remind me of the Babe.
Yeah.
I
think that what YouTube is losing sight of is what attracted people to it is being able to interact with the creators.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're talking about doing things like restricting videos so that there won't be any comment section, that people can't talk to the creators, I think that is what's going to kill YouTube.
YouTube's not going anywhere. I got bad news for everybody.
Well, I don't.
It won't kill it, but it'll transform it into something else that will, you know, really lose a lot of subscribers.
The YouTube that we all learned to love is already gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone should be in mourning, but we're all just like Weekend at Bernie's and this whole like YouTube thing. Like YouTube is those contracts have already been made. You're right. They're looking for who is going to be a player in their new dystopian landscape. And some people will be part of that new world, and the majority of us, will just be the little peons playing in the sandbox, which is fine. It's their platform; they can do whatever they want. It just opens the door for someone else to do something better, and that's why I'm not depressed or upset about what they're doing. I mean, they have every right to do it. I've long learned that you shouldn't entrust your feelings to people who just care about money.
Well, I mean,
Yes, but at the same time, they're screwing over all the creators, even with the new
So
COPPA
what?
laws that they have to
I'm YouTube. So
adhere
what?
to.
I'm YouTube.
They
So
are
what?
intentionally fucking over people who attract a wide range of audiences. What they should actually do is to implement an age rating system like everybody else.
They have YouTube Kids and all that stuff, but it's the internet. Kids lie. So again, I'm YouTube. I don't care if I piss off the content creators, because you know what? As much as Pirate Kitty likes to draw and she streams while she draws, yeah, that's 5 people that she gets watching at a time. Maybe 100 on like her big celebratory episode. I don't give you know how expensive the upkeep on all this shit is that I got working these servers? And you got 5 people and I'm supposed to give a damn about you. Y'all don't buy shit. Y'all don't do shit. I don't care.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't do stuff for people for free. I didn't ask Asgard to draw me a picture for free. You know, I paid for that.
And
You don't ask people to do stuff for free that you can't do yourself.
the long and short of this is it comes down to, some of the flaws in the capitalist system.
Correct.
That YouTube is out to make as much money as possible with as little effort.
Correct.
Now, to bring us back on the subject, there is one gender swap I think that we can all be universally outraged about.
What?
The 1994 movie they entitled Godzilla. That was just a travesty. An absolute travesty.
The one with the
giant iguana.
Yeah.
I think we can all be outraged, and it wasn't just the gender swap, but we should be outraged. That was just bad.
It was a horrible movie on all regards.
Yes.
It might have been passable as being a very bad movie if they had not titled it Godzilla. But it had nothing to do with the legend or the mythology of Godzilla.
And this is probably in the same vein, but I'm not such a purist when it comes to most storytelling. Like, I like it when things get a little wishy-washy and mushy and the edges kind of get lost. Like, I enjoy that. Like, if I want 45 Batman movies that are all just the Batman does this, and then the Joker does this, and then Batman kicks Joker in the face, roll credits. If that's all people want to watch, is just that kind of, like linear kind of shit, then that's one thing. But I like a little, well, wait, who the fuck is that?
Well,
I thought he was on some, you know what I'm saying? That's
Mm-hmm.
interesting to me that their story is different. It doesn't have to be the same. So whether it's a gender swap, whether it's like at the end of Game of Thrones, like I wasn't superly upset about any of that stuff because it's like, all right, tell your story. Well, I didn't like that. Good story though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you told your story, I just didn't like it. So and I keep it moving.
That's the opinion that I take. It's like people say, "Oh, this movie wasn't anything like the book." I'm like, if you wanted the book, read the book. This is a movie.
Better. Yeah. Every book is better in your head than a movie anyway.
Hold on. The thing is, though, is okay. Having them change things up and make their own story is one thing. Mm-hmm. But if I'm going to, let's just say, a Thor movie, I want to see them at the very least transport me to that world and keep the spirit of the character and the world, right? I want to see that. The problem is with a lot of these swaps, they don't do that. And if you wanted to make a new character, make a new character. Don't just slap a name on a name with recognition onto a new character and try to pretend that it's that same old character. I'm sorry, it isn't.
But it's too much of a risk. And I'm just saying that because that's that seems to be the mentality that they've got going on. Is if they
Yeah,
if they
Hollywood is
invest,
big on the name brand recognition.
Yep.
So if
You
they
know-
can keep the name brand, it doesn't matter if the product is completely changed.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that I can understand why it is the way it is. It's shit, but I'm not gonna let myself invest a ton of energy being upset about it, because it is what it is.
Yeah.
And my form of protest is, if I don't think you've done it right, I'm not going to pay to watch it.
There you go.
Yep.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm not advocating for pirating people's art, even if
No,
it's
that's
shitty
not
art.
that's not what I meant.
No,
That's not
no,
what I
but
meant.
that's
She
what
goes
I
to
said.
all
That,
them weird
I gave up.
websites.
Yeah, I gave up
Weird
on the
links.
Marvel Cinematic Universe after the first Avengers movie. I haven't seen
Mhm.
any of them since then.
Yep.
Because they just went off in directions I didn't care for, so I'm not giving them any more money.
Well, I'm emotionally invested in for one reason and one reason alone. It's not because they pissed on my favorite characters, whatever. No, the big thing is the protect. I see art as a serious value to our society, to our culture, and that includes comic books, that includes movies, that includes television shows, that includes the art that you can go see in a gallery. All of it enriches our culture. And it frustrates me that the most impactful art that we have in our culture right now has been so corporatized that the artists aren't even creating art anymore. They're being told by somebody who has no artistic vision what they are going to create. Artists are merely cogs in a paint by numbers factory, and that is frustrating as fuck. It bothers me to the core of my soul.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to stop being bothered about it.
But so when you're saying the art, are you talking about like the literal graphic art part of it, or are you talking
All of
about
it.
like the scripting and all that kind of stuff?
All of it.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I see it from a storytelling standpoint with the writers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like that's why everything's so formatic that basically they want it to work like an assembly line. They want there to be a bunch of interchangeable parts that they can just stick together and, call that a new movie.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not the story makes any sense doesn't seem to matter to them anymore.
Well, that's in the same vein, like of art. That's been the case. We haven't had an art renaissance in decades. Everything has been getting shittier and shittier and shittier. As a musician
Agreed.
and as a beat maker, as a producer, oh yeah, I can fucking turn on the radio right now and listen to all of the number one hits that are absolute garbage. But that doesn't mean that I change my music to just meet their shit. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, well, look at the video game industry. Let's just take one company, and this is endemic of the entire video game industry. Blizzard, for instance, it was started by a bunch of basically D&D geeks who wanted to make great games, and they made great games, and they hired money men to help them sell those great games. Now, all the artists that work there, every single one of them, when you're talking about the writers, the physical artists, the people actually making models, the people who are actually doing digital art, every single artist is now just a cog in a machine, and the people making the decisions aren't artists at all. They have no artistic vision. They simply we want you to meet these projections, and these are the boxes that our focus groups tell us need to be checked. And so make sure all these boxes are checked. And that's not art.
But that's the price of what do they call it?
Fame?
Not leveling.
Not fame.
No, not fame. No, it's scale. Scale. That's the problem with scale. Like you can make, to this day, you can still find a bunch of really great indie games produced by like 5 or 6 guys and stuff like that. But if you want that for everybody, if you want that to get out to everybody, you got to talk to the money men if you scale up like that. The way things are.
But no, here's the thing. Blizzard at the beginning was that scale.
Hold on. Right. But I'm saying the scaling comes in when you want to, like, there's a difference between I want to record a CD and I want to sell it. If I want that CD in all of these, in all the stores, in Target and Best Buy and all that shit, all the music stores, then I need distribution.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to get distribution, I might have to do X, Y, and Z. I have to agree to this, this, and this. So you have to sacrifice some of your art to get it to that scale. For that on the shelf with a SKU on the back, you ain't getting no gallery level art if it's got a SKU on the back. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't work that way. You can't. There's like you said, those money men who financed you getting your shit all over the planet. They have demands.
Well, it's not just that. What I'm saying is no. Blizzard at the beginning, and this is again almost every game company, was owned, operated, and run by the artists, right? And they were getting their shit on shelves, their artistic vision of it. I mean, look at the first Diablo. You think they compromise shit for distribution? I mean, there was nudity, there was graphic violence, and this was during the time where people were still morally panicked over fucking what was it, Mortal Kombat. You know what I mean? And this was on shelves with a SKU, worldwide distribution. Diablo 2, the original World of Warcraft. So it's not like they didn't make it huge while still having the artistic people at the head of it. The problem is that over time, all of these businesses, over time, it's not just a scale, it's time. It's like an inevitable progression. Look at Disney. Originally, I mean, you love him or hate him, but Walt Disney was in charge, and he was an artist. He was artistic. He had an artistic vision. But over time, given enough time, the money men take over. It's just what happens in our capitalist society.
Mm-hmm. It's like this thing where you know, like, just think about early MMOs. Like, you know,
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody's been around this long. Ultima Online, the original EverQuest. They were happy if they had 100,000 subscribers,
Mm-hmm.
paying their subscriptions every month. And if it didn't get any bigger than that, that's fine. We've got our niche, we've got our audience, we're good. Now everybody wants to be WoW, where it applies to it's got something to appeal to everybody,
Right.
but people
And
come and
even
go so
WoW
quick.
wasn't originally that. WoW was originally pretty niche that became a cultural phenomenon. And when that happened, they started compromising the product to try and appeal to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So when you say compromise the product, what's the difference between them selling out per se and them just saying, we want to do this now?
Well, because those decisions aren't being made by the creative minds that built World of Warcraft. Those decisions are being made by corporate money men with no artistic vision whatsoever.
I'm saying, well, I'll restate it. What happens in your scenario when the people just decide, hey, I want to do this now? Even if it has nothing to do with money, they change what they've done. The formula was this. You know how like soda used to taste good and now it'll taste the same and it's all shitty. And because everybody flipped over to the corn syrup now as opposed to real sugar. Like it's the same thing, but it just doesn't feel right. That doesn't mean we just look at Pepsi and say, see, Pepsi done sold out. It's just like, no, they've just changed their formula. So is there space for you in the creative space for people to change their formula?
Certainly. Of
Okay.
course.
So I don't know that all of this can be attributed to the money men, because there are people who just try to do too much. The girls coming home.
Well, certainly. I'm not saying all of this is because of money men, but however, there are certain. How about this? There are certain patterns that are happening within our artistic mediums that are dominantly that have been taken over, especially when you're talking about the mainstream, by money men. And there are certain patterns that they repeat.
Microtransactions.
Michael.
I am currently playing an MMO that has microtransactions. I don't participate in them. But if there was an MMO that would come out and say, give me $15 a month and you get the same thing as everyone else, I would jump back on that, no problem.
If an MMORPG came out that had no microtransactions and gave me deep character customization and role playing tools, I would be willing to pay $20 a month.
Mhm.
Easy. Yep.
I'm changing my screen name to microtransactions.
Well, I'll punch you.
I mean,
You heard it here first.
if they could keep the game that I'm currently playing is called Black Desert Online, and
My buddy streams that. It's really cool looking.
it is a pretty good game. I have no problems with it. Most, if everything, of their microtransactions are cosmetic. There's a couple of little things that are like, gain an extra 120% XP for 2 hours type things. Not like straight out buying weapons.
You know what I miss? I miss games like Final Fantasy VII, the original, where you could actually buy the entire game and not have to worry about buying extras. Okay, yes, the game was short, like 36 hours. I mean, even if you were putting in the extra training time to collect everything, you're still not talking more than 100 hours. But still, you'd get the entire package for 30 quid instead of spending a fuck ton of money on all these tiny little things, like 136 on a special little sword that looks pretty.
Yep.
Yeah, same day, release day
DLC.
Put it in the fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
DLC should be something that comes in 3 to 4 months after the game comes out, and people have had time to work through all of the content that you created when the game came out. That would piss me off.
Nerdy Rodent says live service game said in Jimquisition voice. Oh, I love Jim. He's awesome.
But see, that's why, like, again, just like we don't care that Disney's being stupid with their characters, I don't care what these people do with their games. I just don't play them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only way to change their mind is if they're, and especially if they're listening to the money men, it has to be less money. Like it has to be, you have to stop making it lucrative for them to put out these games. So shit comes out and it's got a bunch of shit that's annoying to me. I know when the next one comes out, I'm not getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but the thing about that is the more you take the piss and create DLCs that require extra money, the more people pirate your shit.
I'm not advocating for that.
Mm.
Yeah, but I've had the problem, and this is why I don't play any of the online multiplayer games. But the same thing when with the card games like Magic the Gathering, that I could see right off that this game is going to be won by whoever can afford to spend the most money on it, and that's never going to be me. So there's no point in me ever getting into it.
Right.
The other problem with that those kinds of games, especially like Magic the Gathering, is at any point they can decide if that you have broken whatever rule, or they just don't like you. They can basically take everything you've ever bought. You don't really own those digital cards.
Yeah,
they can take it at any point. Or I think Steam has like a card game that people invested a bunch of money into, and they're shutting down the servers because they didn't have enough people playing it.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a video on that the other night. I don't remember who it was by.
Is that a Hearthstone?
Just that whole concept that you don't own the video games.
Yeah,
and,
you don't.
Well, and that's part of the problem I've had with going to ebooks. Is like Amazon Prime or anything. If you're getting ebooks, you don't really own the book. They can take it back at any time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that. If I'm paying for something, I want to know that I will have a copy of that if I want to look at it 15 years from now.
And so this is all bled into a really awesome, interesting discussion we can have about where we spend our money. Because I'm so like I act like I'm speaking on platitudes. I literally don't do a lot of stuff for this reason. Like I literally cut a lot of things out of my life for this reason. If I don't agree with how people are getting down or how they do this, or I think that my inaction can help something go a certain way, oh yeah, I'm out. I'm
Yeah.
out.
Well,
I'm done.
I was
Well, you know-
a lifetime subscriber for my entire family has been subscribed to World of Warcraft since the beginning. Right, my wife was actually featured in a briefly in a Blizzard documentary about World of Warcraft. I mean, we've been diehard World of Warcraft people for a long fucking time. When they pulled all this shit with fucking over their esports people, and then the Hong Kong thing, we canceled our subscriptions. We canceled our pre-orders for any outstanding games. We cut everything off, all of it.
And that's critical. And that's critical because they have to. It's just like the lunch counters. It's just like everything else. It's just like the bus boycotts. That shit works because they can be as shitty as they want to be, but then at the end of the day, they're still gonna have to feed themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, but the problem is that we're now in a much larger world, so to speak. And yeah, everybody in America could decide that they're not going to play Blizzard games anymore. But they still got all of Europe, and they still have China that they can market to, and Africa, and Australia.
Trust me, though, if they lost all of America as a market, their investors would be freaking the fuck out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
there'd be some changes. Like, you better fix that shit.
Yeah, no, I'm not
They
saying it
freak
would.
out if they lose 10% of their market, and Europe and America actually share a lot of things in common. So if they lose all of their American audience, they're going to lose a good chunk of their EU audience as well.
Yeah, I do understand that there's that connection. I was just being simplistic.
So why don't you understand that? I'm just joking.
Well, unfortunately, that is one of the things that comes into it. That because China is such a big market now, that it's really putting limitations on what they can include in games. Because if it's going to upset the Chinese government so they can't distribute it over there, then they lose a big market, so they're not going to produce that game.
They need to understand that they cannot please everyone at the same time. They need to create content for specific people. They can't just whitewash it, so to say. Content for everybody.
Like the last 2 Transformers movies, it was revealed that were specifically created with the Chinese audience as their primary market. Everyone else was just an afterthought.
I'm not surprised. And that's the thing, that they're trying to sell worldwide, so they're trying to appeal to everyone. And
again, that's scale. That's them trying to scale up to the next level of exposure.
Yeah, and that,
but
to do that, you have to have a very bland, homogenized product.
Yes.
So yeah, if you want anything that's got any real character, they have to at least kind of have regional markets. That they have to have something that they're going to say, okay, it's going to perform well on this continent. It's probably not going to do much on the other continents.
So
that's why I'm going to say support your indie creators.
So here's a rare moment. I'm going to trick Ansgar into agreeing with me on something. It doesn't happen often.
Okay, I'll guess see this.
Guillermo del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
You're a fan?
Mostly. Not always, but mostly.
Pan's Labyrinth. Are you a fan?
It was pretty good, yeah.
He literally did all of the shit that we've been talking about, where he wanted things his way. He did not want to compromise any of his art. He didn't make $1 off of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't make $1, and it's probably one of the better films of that decade.
Yeah,
especially for foreign, like
yeah, it was a damn good movie. Visually, it was beyond stunning.
Yeah, that's his thing though. That's like all the Hellboy movie. Well, except for that fucking last one. I almost brought up Hellboy in the reboots, and then I was just like, oh yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mikey,
Yes.
I need a clarification. You say he didn't make $1 off of it. Did he lose money or did he break even?
I think he ended up, because what did he do? He ended up doing something. I think how it all washed out was he had put so much of his own money into the movie that he probably lost a little.
Well, that's just Del Toro. I mean, even when it comes to like almost everything that he's ever done,
he is obsessive about details.
Yeah, he is willing to lose money or not make as much money for the sake of the art, and I respect that.
Okay, so I
You
just
know, that is
Googled
something.
Pan's Labyrinth, and it says the budget was $19 million, and at the box office it made $83.3 million.
It costed 19 to make.
Yeah, the budget on the film was $19 million, and the box office was $83.3 million.
Yeah, but how much did he make? Because all that money's not going to him.
Right.
Yeah, how much did the production company keep, and how much did he get to keep?
That's
right, because their budget could have been one thing. That doesn't mean that they stuck to that budget. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. You also have to remember that there was a marketing budget that isn't included in that.
Fair.
Usually, you take the budget of the film and then do that times 1.5, and that is industry standard for what the marketing for said movie costs.
Now, see, I made my living doing home repairs. Okay, it's not exactly artwork, but aesthetics are an important part of it.
Then it's art.
It takes time and talent. It's artwork.
Okay, well, but the point I'm going for is that for me, I expect to make a modest profit off of it. It's something I was never going to get rich at, but I had a lot of problems with people who, wanted me to slap something up just quick and cheap. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do any work that is not of a quality I would not live with in my own home.
You're a craftsman is what you is.
Yeah, well, so it's like, yeah, I missed a lot of contracts for that, but
craftsperson.
Yeah, it's kind of along the lines.
I would make a really crass comment right now, but I think I'll refrain from doing that.
It goes with something I've often said, that I know I'd have a lot more money if I had less ethics.
And that's too bad, because it's kind of shitty that all of the atheistic nerdy people always have the best ideas about how, like, the people who are completely enraptured by fantasy have the best ideas to how to conform and fix our reality.
Although fantasy and real life
there is something in that, yeah,
is separated. Fantasy lets you play out all possible roles that may be played, all possible consequences that may be played, so you can see if something is going to be a total fuck up in reality.
Well, what's so beautiful about fantasy, it allows us to explore even potentially dangerous ideas and the consequences of some of the most dangerous ideas, all in a space that no one actually gets hurt because it's fantasy. And that's what I find really liberating and freeing about science fiction and fantasy.
You are correct, sir.
Yeah, you can explore a lot of possibilities without there being any real consequences.
Mhm.
Unless people want to take what you say out of context and try and say that the thing that you were talking about in the abstract is your real belief.
Right. Or that because
Yeah.
you created a villain, that therefore you support what that villain did.
Oh my god, that is probably the worst argument I have ever heard against fantasy stuff. It's like, oh yeah, I would follow the fictional version of Loki everywhere, like some horny dog. It doesn't mean that I would support his thoughts on genocide.
Right.
And I actually made that comment because I've seen that happen, and I think it happened to you, Ansgar.
Yeah, it's happened to me more
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 times than
than
you like to
once.
count.
Yeah. And there's one rather infamous example. I won't bring it up because it might derail the stream. But
Well,
yeah,
that's probably the instance I'm talking about too.
yeah, with the artist formerly known as Godless Iowan.
I don't remember who
Can
the
Maddie?
yeah. I'm not sure.
Let's just not.
Let's just not. Yeah.
Hmm.
I know what's going on.
Nerdy Rodents, back to the anyone want to buy this banana I taped to the wall?
Didn't the banana get eaten?
The guy.
Yes, it did. It
ate it.
did. I was gonna say only if I get to eat it.
So
Also,
amazing.
wasn't there something like the person said that they would offer artistic repair indefinitely, which means they'll come to your home and tape a new banana on the wall?
Oh,
Well,
I had
to
heard
be
that.
fair,
Something about that.
That is
To be
one of the more
fair.
interesting you know, insurance packages that you could get a hold of.
To be fair, there is part of the thought in my head that wasn't a setup because a banana doesn't last very long, and you would have to end up perpetually replacing the banana, or you wouldn't have a piece of artwork.
Listen here. No guy is ringing my doorbell with duct tape and a banana in his hand talking about, I'm here. I'm here to help.
Oh, even if it's me, I promise I'll be very gentle.
Yeah. Hey, can you let me into your bedroom with this duct tape and banana? No, absolutely not. I'm calling the federales. You're getting the fuck out of here. And your fucking 100-mile-an-hour tape. Get out
oh
of here.
God!
I don't know what your plans are, buddy.
Yeah, well, now I got this whole thing that the whole art exhibit was a setup just for that, so that he could
I'm
go into people's homes with a banana and duct tape.
fucking dead. I'm like, well, when you put it like that, it sounds like a bad thing.
What? I'm just here to fix your painting. You're about to
Sexual innuendo is never a bad thing.
You're fixing to get a 2-piece special with no biscuit, homeboy. If you don't get the hell out of my driveway.
Well, because then he could strap the people down to the bed with the duct tape and insert the banana and take a picture of it and put it on the internet and claim it's an art gallery.
Yeah. Oh, then he'd be fucking taping us up in people's walls. See, that's how it starts. It starts with bananas.
You know, I've seen movies where the home repair guy comes with a duct tape and banana, but it goes very differently.
Wee doo doo doo, wee doo doo. Careless Whisper pops on out of nowhere.
Oh God.
No, thank you.
Well, the stream is all downhill from here. We're never gonna top that one.
Yep. Tape me gape and then banana me to pieces. I don't think so.
Well,
In your life.
actually, yeah, we only have about 15 minutes left here, so maybe we should kind of, get into doing the sign-off routine and go around and everybody, plug anything you've got going on.
Speaking of plugs, so I got this banana. Never mind.
Did you see? Oh no, seriously. Speaking of plugs, did you see the Christmas tree that somebody put up somewhere? I think it was outside of an art museum.
No.
Okay, hold on just a second. I'm going to pull up a picture of it.
Oh boy. Welcome to demonetization. Your new destination.
Oh, I
But it doesn't matter.
I have absolutely no illusions about ever producing anything that could be monetized.
Exactly.
It's not happening.
I think about the only thing that could be safe on that level are maybe some of my historical pieces.
Not even that, because History Channel's have been targeted for demonetization. Sorry.
Okay, well, we got here,
I'm
Kitty.
sorry if my speech is off
Oh,
more than
That's-
usual.
They've erected it as an avant-garde like Christmas tree,
I
minimalist
get it.
Christmas
You
tree.
know what's so great about that?
That's just a giant butt plug.
That's technically considered an erection.
So they erected the bum tree.
Yeah.
God damn it, we need to find Crimson Fucker.
okay. No, my thought is this is the city's plan. This is the city's plan to protect themselves against Godzilla.
Or they're trying to lure Godzilla in. Come on.
I don't know,
Godzilla.
would you be into that
I'm
sort
just
of
saying,
thing?
I would watch a Godzilla porno.
The
Just
tricky
saying.
part's going to be to get under the tail with it.
Okay, remind me to introduce you to a certain site, Ansgar.
Oh, geez.
But is
Hold on
it
a
shielded against radiation? Because
Stop sharing your screen. Stop sharing your screen. Make the bad things go away.
No,
hold
the bad
on.
things are fun.
Make the pain. Make the always stop. I have always in my brain.
Hey, I can always blind you with the hot poker. That would always be more effective.
Jordan said it was a plumb bob from China that's penetrated through the earth.
Sorry about the
guys said-
buzzing, by the way.
Okay,
guys
Kitty,
said-
is there something else you want me to put up there?
He said a plumb
It's a
bob.
picture of a porno called Taken by the T-Rex.
oh God, that is amazing.
Dapper Dino, when he catches wind of this, is going to
Oh.
be furious.
Righty.
That is amazing. I need to. Oh, that should be an adult comic book.
It's actually a dinosaur erotica.
It should be an adult comic book. That would be amazing, especially if it was like a comedy comic book. Oh, that is fantastic.
Okay, let's just.
You have to share
I'm
that
only going-
immediately all over Twitter.
I'm only going to get as far as the concept that his erection would be larger than her entire body and leave it at that.
Yikes!
That's what the duct tape's for.
The fact that I am part of a group that's called Monster Fuckers and regularly features monsters that have definitely got erections over the size of a human anatomy, I don't think that would be out of place.
No, but there is I have seen clips. It was a joke, but there was basically it was a pterodactyl, I think. It was like a porno with the guy was dressed up like a pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl. I'm done.
That was bad.
You don't.
I have nothing to add to this.
I found. You might want to decide if you want to show this because this is very graphic.
Don't do it.
Do it.
Don't do it. Do it
Do
off air.
it. Do it now.
Do it.
Do it off air.
Don't think about it. Just do it.
Do it.
Peer pressure is not a thing. Don't do it.
Do it now, or I won't speak to you again.
See, look at that. Hostage taking. They're holding your channel hostage. Don't do it.
I mean, we're talking like
No,
full
you have
frontal
to
male
do it.
nudity.
No. See? Don't do it.
Oh, now
Sorry.
we definitely need to see it.
You can.
Yeah,
One second, I took it down.
I think that violated the YouTube guidelines there.
That's what I'm saying. Don't get Purple's channel in trouble.
That is.
It's okay.
I warned you before you shared it, though.
Actually, I was kind of distracted at a moment, but
Distracted after that.
I was a little distracted too, but yeah.
okay. So anyway, yeah, it's about time for us to start closing this down here. So,
Mhm.
so Ansgar, what have you got coming up?
Well, I'm neither a pterodactyl nor a porn star, but I am creating an
Don't
adult.
flip.
Damn you, Mikey.
I win again.
I am creating an adult themed I guess I would call it a science fantasy graphic novel. So look me up on Twitter. I post art from it all the time. And I work on half the In Time show. And I've got my own channel where I do random stuff. So go ahead and, check that out. And every now and then I even get to talk to Mikey and his other half. So yeah, pretty cool.
My hubbin.
Yeah,
guys.
your internet hubbing.
I'm also Ansgar Odinson. I'm half of the In Time show. I just wanted to do a race swap. You know what I'm saying? I'm the new.
Oh, okay.
I'm the reboot of Ansgar.
You can't reboot without the hat, dude. You can swap the race, you can swap the gender. You cannot swap the hat, man.
You've got to have the hat and glasses. It would be like Batman without the cowl.
Right?
Yeah, if they ever get rid of his cowl, I'll pitchfork torch.
That's when we riot, man. That's when we riot.
But I'm Mikey Famine at We the Deviants. If you were Twitter, mixer.com/Mikey Famine and youtube.com/C/The Deviants. That's me. I yell on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do.
We pretty much are all yelling into the void, so why not?
Screaming into nothingness.
Yell harder. I haven't heard.
Yeah. Well, Mikey does a lot of video game streams, so you may not hear the yelling over all the explosions.
Yeah. That happens. Pirate Kitty, you're up.
Oh, I don't. I just do purple streams.
Yar.
And I've got a interview with
A vampire.
Neil.
I was thinking the same damn thing.
I'm gonna be on.
Bradley Pitt.
No, Neil is not a vampire. Neil keeps giving his blood away.
He's a reverse vampire.
Yeah, I was just gonna say reverse vampire.
Wait. Or is he?
Yeah, but does he give his energy as well, or is it just his blood? Because you do get energy vampires as well.
No. He is a vampire. That's why he keeps having these blood drives. Come on down, everybody. I gave blood. And then
maybe he's not giving blood. Maybe he's going
in
there
that
to
case, I'm
consume.
more vampire than Neil is because I always want to bite into someone.
All right, guys,
So-
you guys drive safe tonight.
So if somebody has to get if somebody has to get blood transfusions, are they technically a vampire?
No, because they didn't consume it.
I was about to say, I don't think it
I
goes in
would
their
say
mouth,
no.
Ansgar.
Okay.
If I have to get a blood transfusion and then just bite a cow.
Well, actually, that's why Jehovah's Witnesses will not take blood transfusions because of a Bible verse that talks about consuming blood.
I thought you were going to say because of vampires. If they cooked with more garlic, they should be fine.
So yeah, February.
Yeah, that's the problem. I haven't been
much
adding enough garlic
it
when I
would
cook
kill
a vampire.
everyone.
Vampire steaks with garlic butter. I'd eat that.
Vampire speed, but they'll never survive the amount of garlic I intake.
It'd be like a death bomb. Be like, okay, yeah, you can have some of my blood. Burned from the inside out.
Yeah. Drink my blood, but
It'd be
then
like
you'll
that
die.
poison dart.
Yep.
be like-
So
it'd
you
be
are
like
toxic to vampires.
It'd be like that poison dart from what was that, Jurassic
As
Park
much
2 or
as they
whatever.
appeal to me, yes.
It's like that. It's like, hey, what happens if is there an antidote? Can't you shoot yourself in the foot? No, don't have an accident. You'll be dead before you knew it had an accident. That would be
Yeah.
vampire biting you.
Now, see,
Okay. Well, I
I'm
think that wraps it up for this episode. So appreciate all of you coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, yep.
So
It was fun.
everybody in the side chat,
See you later.
we'll see you later. I will be doing my midnight broadcast tomorrow night. Don't really have a topic for that, so it's just going to be random people chatting. But if you can't go to sleep tomorrow night, come and join me.
Bye.
Tuesday.
Bye-bye, and we are
Bye-bye.
disconnected.